right, good evening. It's my pleasure to welcome you here for the Oshtemo Township regular meeting for April 23rd, 2024. And at this time, I extend the opportunity to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, we will move to agenda item number 3, which is remote location identification for any members of this body who will be participating remotely per the permitted statute in this, for the state. At this time, we have Treasurer Bushka will not be participating remotely. She's on vacation, as well as Trustee Ford will not be joining us. Seeing that both are unable to join us this evening, other members of this body are present. At this time, we move to item number 4, Township Mission, Vision, and Core Values. I invite a member of this body to read a section of that to remind us why we are doing this work.
Decisions are made based on the value to our township and residents.
Thank you, Trustee Cole. Item number 5 is public comment on non-regular session items. Is there any member of the public with us this evening wishing to speak on something that's not a part of the agenda provided this evening? Do we have anyone remotely? All right, seeing none, we will move to item number 6, and this, thank you. I appreciate the clerk. Before we move into item number 6, I do wish to amend the agenda. For this body, I would like to remove item number 12, closed session to discuss performance review, and I'm removing it solely that I didn't have an opportunity to fully review and provide feedback on that item, and so I'm going to remove that for tonight, and we will bring it back to this body at a future, probably in May, in closed session to discuss item number 12. And we have an addition to the agenda. Clerk Farmer, would you like to speak to this addition, please?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. I would like to add to our agenda a discussion and possible consideration regarding publication of our notices, ordinances, and proceedings.
Thank you. So noted. We will add that discussion as new item number 12, Attorney Porter? Okay, very good. Thank you. Moving forward, agenda item number 6 is our public official update, and I am pleased to invite Dr. Paul Sutherland to share with the board the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge. I think you all will enjoy hearing about this work.
We'll see. No, I'm joking.
Always the optimist.
Thank you for inviting me. Members of the board. Just briefly, my wife and I moved to Kalamazoo about 40 years ago. And during that time, I served on the faculty at K since between 85 and 2015. And in case you don't know, Neil does, I helped lead the charge, I guess, to establish Lillian Anderson Arboretum next door. So that was one of my fun accomplishments at K. Besides that, I've been an avid cyclist before that time, and That brings me to talking about the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge. So for the next 7 minutes or so, I'll talk about the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge and a really pretty cool app and platform called Love to Ride that we're using to help gamify the Commuter Challenge and to invite people from all over the county to log their rides on bicycles for the next year. All of this got started when I got invited to have coffee with a downtown business owner who began the conversation by saying, "They got to do something to activate the bike lane in downtown Kalamazoo." And then he said, "What do you think about the bike lane?" And the conversation, one thing led to another, and we ended up talking about something like the Commuter Challenge. And then over a period of, I don't know, a month or so, we got a bunch of people organized and interested in this. So it all grew out of trying to get people used to riding their bikes for practical cycling around town and throughout the county. So let's see, where am I? There it is. What is the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge? It's a 2-week event that we hope to engage people, as many people as possible, in riding their bikes for short trips, to work, dine, shop, or simply to enjoy cycling in and around Kalamazoo, Portage, Vicksburg, Richland, Oshtemo, or throughout Kalamazoo County. All businesses and organizations are invited to encourage their employees and members to participate and compete as teams in the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge. Organizations of similar size will compete with other workplaces to climb leaderboards, win prizes, and work together to create a healthier and more sustainable community. So it's kind of a game in a way for the 2 weeks, but a real important part, for me anyway, is that healthier and more sustainable community. As you'll see when I get to the end, after talking about the Commuter Challenge and Love to Ride, I'll talk about how this has affected my riding, and then I'll invite you to join me in kind of an imagining what could happen. It's open to everyone across Kalamazoo County, whether you are employed, are retired, like me, are a student, or just want to have fun. We hope that this event will activate our bikeways, shared use pathways, bike lanes, and bike routes with people doing practical cycling, not just going out for a ride, but everyday cycling and enlivening the areas that have bikeways, including Oshtemo, which has quite a few really cool bikeways. We encourage everyone, all ages and abilities, to participate. Remember, every ride counts, as you'll see. So let's pedal together and discover Kalamazoo County. Registration is free. You can register your business or organization, including Oshtemo Township. It's free. And encourage others to sign up. It's all free. Well, it's not free. We're raising money to pay for Love to Ride for a year. But for everyone to participate, it is free. How will we do this? We're going to combine this event called the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge with Love to Ride. And you'll have several opportunities to either log in on that website or snap the QR code, but there's all kinds of references to Love to Ride because it is pretty darn cool. So what is it? It's an app for your phone, both iPhone and Android. Recently, non-iPhone phones were added. Love to Ride is really working hard to get this app up and running so that everybody can use it. So it's an app for your phone. It automatically logs rides if you have the app, if you give app the permission to use your location. And just recently, actually last week, I think, they released a means to rate your routes, comfortable, uncomfortable, whatever. It's pretty cool after you ride. And again, this is the most important part for me. It allows everyone to contribute to a better bike infrastructure because anonymous data, after all of this is done, not just for the commuter challenge, but for the whole year. The rides are anonymized, collected, and they'll produce a heat map that they'll return to City of Kalamazoo and others to have a look at. And that's pretty cool for planning people, right? It's a ride tracking app. You can rate your routes. That's a hard one to say. It's kind of a game. They really work on community engagement. And then afterwards, there's the data dashboards, data analytics and exports, and anonymous route maps. So front end, getting people to ride, carry the app, track their routes. Back end, all the data come back in after a while. This is just a summary of things that I've said. Every ride counts, everybody's included. So let's get together and basically crowdsource a heat map of where people ride in the county. What else will the challenge do? Every time you ride your bike while using Love to Ride, during the challenge and throughout the year, not just for the 2 weeks, you will add to a collection of anonymous bike routes. That's that crowdsourcing part. And you'll be able to rate your routes. And that's important because then planners, right, planners and implementers can look at the routes and say, these are good routes, these are not so good routes, where do we need routes, and work on current bikeways or add new ones. So together, we can create a better connected and welcoming system for everyone to enjoy. Every ride counts. So, how can you get involved? Sign up for Love to Ride. Download the app. That's Love to Ride Kalamazoo County, and then there's the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge for the 2 weeks. And then ride your bike everywhere, to work, shop, dine, or simply to have fun, right? It's not just the Kalamazoo Bicycle Club hardcore, lycra-clad people out riding on Monday and Wednesday night. It's everybody. So get Love to Ride, do some practical cycling, join the Commuter Challenge, and be part of the change. And, of course, we'll have a celebration at the end at Bell's on May 30th. So it runs from the 17th to the 30th. On the 30th, we'll all gather for some prizes for individuals and teams and just to have fun. So that's the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge. Afterwards, after the challenge, continue riding your bikes and logging rides throughout Kalamazoo, throughout the summer and beyond. All right, so 2 things in closing. What effect has this had on me as a cyclist? And then I want to have you sort of imagine something, a little imagining with me. You know, since I came to, even before, but since I came to Kalamazoo, I've been riding from home with students, with people in the bike club, and most of our rides, the vast majority of my rides have been from home near K out into the county. A lot of rides are in Oshtemo Township. There's a lot of great roads in Oshtemo Township. But go out for long rides, right? Rarely did I ever ride my bike to Walgreens or Harding's or wherever, right? I just didn't. Well, one reason I didn't was because the infrastructure was so horrible in Kalamazoo that nobody in their right mind would ride on the streets in Kalamazoo. But that changed a year ago, right? A year ago, as you know, Kalamazoo put in the bike lane in downtown Kalamazoo, the protected bike lane. And even before it was open, I thought, well, I'm going to give this a try. So I rode my city bike down there, and holy smoke, it was pretty cool. Finally convinced Pam to try it. She was really reluctant. She came back and she said, I could go to the library, I could go to the post office, and I could get back home, right, without fearing for my life. And so that, combined now with Love to Ride, where I'm always trying to log new rides so I can win, right? I'm not going to, because George Waring rides like a fiend. George, you probably know George. He's he's the engineer for the city of Kalamazoo. He rides from Stockbridge to downtown. He does all these 1 and 2 mile rides. He logs all kinds of rides on his bike. Anyway, so those two things, better infrastructure, and Oshtemo was working on that fervently, right? Better infrastructure and having this app has caused me to change the way I ride, right? It's been kind of a mind shift that's led to a mode shift. So I always think, can I ride my bike to Harding's to go grocery shopping? And frequently I do, right? So that's how it's had an effect on me. Now the imagining. So imagine we had, I don't know, 300 people with this app on their phone riding around, 400 people, I don't know, a lot of people between now and next March when the contract runs out. And imagine these people are doing short trips, just practical cycling, not necessarily long rides, but just short trips, including, say, Anna riding from home to the KRVT to the Calihaven Trail, right? Now, it's difficult for her because she can't get safely from home on the road to the KRVT. I think that's what you told me. But imagine a lot of people doing that, and over time, you'd have a cluster of routes in Oshtemo, a cluster of routes around Richland, a cluster of routes around Vicksburg. Not necessarily a lot of people riding the long distances, but a lot of short distances, right? And we'd get a better feel for what the infrastructure in Kalamazoo County is like. And that could then lead to connections between those clusters, and we'd have a much greater, much better infrastructure in the county. Anyway, so that's Love to Ride. That's the Kalamazoo Commuter Challenge, and I think it could very well be a life changer. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. For the members of the board, Paul is actually being humble about his capacity or the work that he's done, not only as a professor and also establishing Lillian Anderson Arboretum. Paul lives in the city, as you just heard, but he has served on our Parks Committee and volunteered probably thousands of hours at this point. So we really appreciate that, and I want to acknowledge it. I saw this presentation at the supervisors meeting last week, and given the timeline for the challenge, I invited Paul to come and share what's going on. And given the fact that investing in infrastructure is a priority for the township, I thought, I wanted to lift this up to our community, and which is why I invited him here. But I'll pause for a moment. Does anyone have any questions about what Paul shared and the challenge?
I see all these red lights down there. I think someone's going to say something.
Just got to jump in.
Yeah, great idea, great presentation. Really appreciate all the work that you do for the township.
Thank you.
I do think it's a wonderful idea. Personally, I scanned the QR code and the other day and went on there. Of course, I don't own a bicycle because I live on a street that is not rideable, and I just can't get my mind around putting my bike on a car to drive somewhere where I can go find a place to ride.
Yep.
I just can't get past that,
Yep.
which is kind of unfortunate. So I do think this has a lot of potential to get people, not necessarily me, because I won't be doing any of the apps, stuff on the apps, but I think it would be helpful to get more information from people. I would probably be putting scary a lot or something like that on some of the routes, needs improvement. So I do like that, and I think it's a great idea. One kind of side question, though, is, you're offering prizes and somebody's funding this and everything. Where's all that coming from, or who's doing it, or are you looking for help with that, or what?
Should I focus on the last thing you said?
No.
No.
Well, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't
I'm ju-
specifically Oshtemo Township either.
I know.
mean,
I
maybe
know. You know me, I'm always going to pull your leg. As much as they don't want me to say this, I don't know why, the city of Kalamazoo, Well, let me back up. When a small group of us hatched this idea, and we're looking around for a way to have, an easy way to log rides, right? To sort of gamify this for whoever wants to participate. We landed on, I don't know how, bumped into Love to Ride. And I had a bunch of conversations with the Love to Ride people and found out how much it would cost and what they would provide and all that. And it's a chunk of change. But we floated the idea by Christina Anderson and George Waring, and told them what the likely cost was going to be. I also floated the idea by the Steve Stepik, Megan Mickelson, and Ally Townsend at CATS, because really, CATS would be the one, because it's county-wide or even MPO-wide, CATS would be the one to pick the tab up on this, and then we would do the legwork to help make it happen, right? CATS couldn't do it this year, but Christina said, we could do it. And so they didn't pay for the whole thing. They paid for a chunk, and we're scrounging money to pay for the rest of it. We're scrounging money to pay for PR work. And the prizes and awards are going to be dorky things. It won't cost very much. It's just, to have fun. So, Chris Lampin-Crowell, Gazelle Sports, is, he's the guy that dragged me into the coffee conversation, as you might imagine. Because Chris is all about downtown Kalamazoo, right? He wants to, and a whole bunch of other things. And then Tim Crone from Petal. So the three of us are the co-directors of the project. And then we have a bunch of other people who are helping out, right? So somehow we're going to make this thing work. And it's happening. We'll figure out the finances. Does that help? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Actually, Neil's question made me think of this when he said, I don't have a bicycle. Now that the infrastructure is going in, particularly in the city, is there any talks about doing the apps where we provide bikes? And I realize like the city bikes are probably paid for by Citibank.
Somebody.
I don't really know how that collaboration works, but is there discussion at least starting in downtown for that type of thing?
Maybe, but I'm not aware of it. I know I was at the Marathon City Commission meeting last week, and there was a presentation by students at Western and students at K about an electric scooter program between Western and downtown, which of course requires better infrastructure so that you're not having to go over railroad tracks and all kinds of things to get there, but they're talking about that. I know that Kazoo Swift just opened up on Ravine, right on the KRVT, and he's going to focus on rental. But to my knowledge, there's not any organized way to, with an app, kind of like Metro Link, right, where you can just find a bike and take off and go. Really, if it were me, I would say, let's get the infrastructure so that you can ride safely, right? From, probably not from your doorstep, but close by, and then you go.
Well, I just want you to know I downloaded the app on my phone, and then step 2 will be to put air in the tires of my bicycle.
If you need help, let me know.
I appreciate
I got a pump.
So I wanted to, so I think this is important for Oshtemo right now. Not only is it a good sort of broad community, like get people out and on their bicycles, but also they are going to be gathering information that can help inform our master plan.
Yep.
And so that's one of the reasons why I asked you to be here.
Thank you.
And the other thing I wanted to share with you is I already gave, and we'll print the flyers and put them at the front
Thank you.
desk, but I already shared it with our meeting communications manager, and I didn't want to put it out until you had an opportunity to be here, but Oshtemo will definitely be supporting this through our social media channels to just try and help spread the word.
Excellent. One other quick thing, speaking of Oshtemo, the bike club, you may know this, the bike club has our monthly meetings at the Oshtemo Community Center. And every month we have a cycling shorts program that's open to the public. Sometimes I get out here with a flyer, sometimes I don't, but the public is welcome to attend the 7 o'clock meeting every second Tuesday. And it's kind of fun stuff, talking about infrastructure or new bikes or ride with GPS or whatever. So it's a great place to meet. We're going to have bike camp there too at the beginning of June, starting at the community center. So it's a great facility. It's great infrastructure right there. It's close to the Fruit Belt Trail, not quite ready for bikes, but we're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Cool stuff. At this time, I would like to move to agenda item number 7, our consent agenda, the meeting minutes from April 9th, the building department fee schedule, the March 24th Board of Review summary, second reading of text amendment to Article 55, signs and billboard, second reading text amendments to Article 50, schedule of regulations, Section 50.60C, setback provisions, business and industrial districts, letter F, Section 5.3, employee handbook amendment, and item G, the 2025 budget calendar draft. Is there any member of this board wishing to remove an item from this evening's consent agenda? And I'd be ready for a motion.
I'll make the motion to
Oh.
approve.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to remove item G. No?
No.
Oh, okay.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by trustee Chapman, pardon me, a second by trustee Cole. Any public no public comment on consent agenda. Any board discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 with 2 absent. Thank you. Let me do my math. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to present item number 8, presentation by Scott Fitzgerald, and I would ask our Public Works Director, Anna Horner, to provide some,
I'm just going to do an introduction for Scott.
Yeah, introduction, thank you.
Because I'm happy he's here and taking the time to meet the board and showcase some of the work he does. I did want to just remind everybody that we invested in a strategic plan related to GIS last year, which kind of revived the position and the area of expertise in the township. And we looked at not only the gaps, some of the work that we weren't getting done without, we previously had one of our positions was half GIS technician. So we looked at some of the gaps that weren't being done as well as some of the needs, and we had quite this big list of projects to get done through GIS. So we also looked at, based on those needs and how much work we had, what level of position we needed to make sure we got the right experience level that we needed. And so Scott has been just diving right in, and I really appreciate that. He sits by our candy bowl, and he will ask you a geography question if you grab a piece of candy. So he's been a great addition to the team. I personally, the engineer in me and the part of me that's millennial is a firm believer in GIS. Everything we're building is underground for the most part, and having those records and having the correct, accurate data is just super, super important, especially as we continue to put more of it underground. I think it really helps in decision-making. A lot of things that we work with are very technical in nature, so having that visual aspect, I think, really can help the public and the board and other leaders. And then also just for efficiency and access, and Scott's going to showcase some of the stuff that he's already been able to implement. We had the data, we just needed to make it more accessible and visual. So I'm really excited that we can start to share this not only with the board but the public. Everything we're going to show tonight is public information. It's almost overwhelming how much you can do with it. So take some time to digest it and then go play with our interactive map and then come back with some more ideas. But with that, I will let Scott take it away.
Good evening, Township Board. My name is Scott Fitzgerald, the GIS specialist here at Oshtemo Township for the past 9 months and 13 days. In addition to the many paper maps that I've produced for coworkers that are likely brought before you for decision-making, there is an online repository of Oshtemo-related information available for anyone to use and get a closer look, and can be used in a variety of different ways. So today we're going to go through that online web map and then 2 other web maps available for anyone, a cemetery viewer and a voting precincts and polling location finder. If I'm going too fast or you want a further explanation on something as I'm going through it, please feel free to stop me. Otherwise, I will answer any questions at the end of the presentation. So first we're going to our web browser. I'm just going to show how to actually get to the web map. You go to oshtemo.org. From here, go to our map section. And then our link to our general public interactive map, whatever you want to call it, is right here. I do want to also shout out my email, gis@oshtemo. Feel free to contact me. So I will click that. And the first thing that's going to pop up is a splash screen. It's going to tell you. Okay, it did not pop up. Sometimes if you have ad block installed, it does disable the splash screen. Basically what that tells you is that this is not survey accuracy. Do not try to build a fence on your property line based on this information. You do have to have a land survey done for that. All right, and then the first thing I want to show is this search bar functionality. You can really type in anything in this and it will search our property line layer and also subdivisions and condominiums. And then we also have this general location search, which is kind of a catch-all for anything that doesn't apply to those two. To first show off the search functionality, I'm going to show where Dusty Farmer lives.
Fire department keeps a picture of it burning.
And when you search that, it'll pan and zoom to that location where that property is, and then the text box will pop open with all of that corresponding information. And if you need more than that, you can always hit this More Property Information link, and that'll bring you right to the assessor's database, where you can search up really anything information on there. We do also have this utility information link. Obviously, that's not going to be pertinent. In this, it'll just throw an error because there are no water bills or sewer bills to that location. I've been told that's the best thing since sliced bread. All right. Move
Wait,
on.
I feel like that might get confused. I need to be clear. I'm on both public water and sewer, but my HOA, we pay the bill through our HOA.
Oh, okay.
I need that to be very clear. Oh my gosh, the news article.
All right, I'm going to go through some of the widgets up at this top here. This is just a legend. It'll show you any of the layers that are currently on. Currently, we just have the municipal boundaries on. If you zoom out far enough, you can see kind of all the surrounding municipalities in Oshtemo Township, and then, of course, just the property line in Oshtemo Township. This is the layer list. It's going to open up by default. We have so much fun stuff to look at here. This is the base map gallery. Currently, we default this to OpenStreetMaps, which really anyone can add on to, and it has a lot of up-to-date information, so I like that one. But there's also aerial imagery, different types of USGS maps that you can add on to that. There's this draw functionality if you want to kind of make your own map, and you can print it off afterwards as well. There's also this measure tool. I've seen some employees use this to kind of estimate costs for projects, or you can basically measure a distance from there. and it'll give you kind of an estimated result. It's, again, not survey accuracy, don't. There is also this print functionality. I personally actually use this when a resident requests a property boundary of their, a map of their property, sorry. And then also this share functionality, you can kind of create custom links, certain extents or zoom levels, and it'll keep all that information in there, and you can send someone exactly where you were in this web map with all the same layers and such as on that you were using. So first, now go through all the layer list options. We just launched this first one called What's Going On in Oshtemo on April 1st. There's probably some you recognize on here. This Easy Mart was approved on 12/12/2023 by you guys. This is currently just active developments, but we're looking at expanding this into road construction, new businesses, and also park events, possibly.
Can you show what that attachment would be?
Yeah. So this would be the floor plan of Easy Mart. I try to add at least one image to each one. Some of the other options have even more, such as a Sunset Point condominiums has a rendering of what it's planning to look like, and a floor plan and elevation view as well. This read more link will also take you to the minutes of the township board meeting.
Scott, can you do the drop-down arrow just to show the 4 different groupings we came up with so far? Or 3, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so each one has a different, for each kind of development type.
You can also see that on the, apparently you can't see it on, because it's not currently on. Yes, if you go to the legend, you can also see it on there, along with every other active layer that you have turned on. So we'll turn that one off. There is also this, a Google Street View layer. You can click on, all these dots are on every road in Oshtemo Township, 50 feet apart, and you can click on any of these dots and it'll open up this text box and give you a link to Google Street View of that location. Sometimes the aerial imagery that we have, which is down here, is not enough for someone, so that Google Street View does help out. We'll skip over township sections, fire hydrants. We do have our sewer mains on here.
So using that map, you could go to Dusty's place and see if it's on fire?
Only actively. We just need to know she's popping popcorn. Sorry, Scott.
Yes, 2024 FEMA flood zones, of which there's only one. I believe that was recently discussed here. And you can also click this link to, and it'll link you to FEMA's website to give you more information on that specific zone type and tell you what the chance of flooding is there. We have a bus stops layer. I'm looking to expand this to actually show if there's a shelter there, what kind of infrastructure is at each one, and I hope that to help out public, and then also our planning staff. There's also this MetroLink West Zone. Help you kind of plan your trip before actually opening the app or downloading it.
So that is the service that supplements the fixed route service
It was just
that we
launched
just,
like last week.
that was launched on the 15th, which
Yes.
Scott has actually already used as a service.
Yes, it was a very nice service. About 5-minute wait time, comfy seats, took it to Steak and Shake and back. Though it does mostly encompass most of our bus stops in Oshtemo Township. There's a few ordinances that were passed a while back, such as the Newman's Airport ordinance. sure you guys have already seen maps about that, but you can go in here and kind of overlay and actually click on the parcel and see who the owner is of that property and see where the ordinance would apply to. Also, the Natural Features Protection District, there was an update in 2023, just kind of separating each of the layers to get an idea of, what actual part of the Natural Features Protection District is applying to certain properties. So you can just turn on one, and you can see just the forests, or hills and slopes, or water. So right away, you can kind of see if your property is intersecting that or beyond that. Of course, the property line layer, in addition to searching Dusty Farmer, you can also just click on any of the parcels and it'll show that pop-up box. Also a little zoom functionality. At certain zoom levels, it'll pull up the address of that parcel, and if you keep going in even further, it'll show up the property dimensions of that parcel.
Wow. That's something else.
We also have the subdivision and condominiums layer. So we can search any of those. So we'll go to Westport number 2, and it'll just show you the date recorded and the type.
I almost thought he was gonna pick on each board member.
I thought he was going
Just
to,
you.
yeah.
Mr. Chapman, you recognize that?
I usually am.
All right, we'll go through. and-
Oh, see, look at,
Yeah, it's not bikeable. I
you
can
are in
understand
a
that.
swamp.
So we have,
You were right next to it on the page.
oh,
Yep.
There's,
Yeah.
and that's one Cole.
Oh, actually, he was on it.
yeah,
I
he was.
I just saw Penny Lane, I didn't even.
Christopher.
We love maps.
All right, now that we're through all of those,
Bike path between my house and your house.
I think that's a deer
Can I go
trail.
walk to your house?
It's a deer trail.
You could too if you had a bike.
You can borrow one of mine.
I can't wait to break out my Huffy bike.
also on here is our zoning overlays, such as the 9th Street Residential Zoning Overlay District, and there's also a corresponding link to actually pull up that ordinance, as well as just our in general zoning layer. Again, link you right to the zoning ordinance and also the date updated and the current ordinance number.
Nice.
This is beautiful.
Also have the future land use layer. We also do have a link that'll bring you to a web page to learn more about that. School district layer, if you're trying to get that Kalamazoo promise. And then this 2 feet contours layer, again, also not
Love it.
incredibly survey accurate, but it is a good way to get an understanding of the area. I had to simplify it quite a bit to actually get it to load in a reasonable amount of time. So now that I'm through that one, we're going to move on to the cemetery viewer, which we'll just go back to oshtemo.com home. So all you do is have to type in oshtemo.org. It'll bring you to our home page. You can go to Office of the Clerk and then to cemeteries. We do have 3 separate links for our cemetery viewers, though they all link to the same web map. That link just determines the extent and zoom level. So for example, we'll go to West Oshtemo.
There's your splash screen.
Yeah, I don't know why it popped up on this one, but not the other one. Again, it'll give you a little information on how to actually use the web map, and then a disclaimer, this is not survey accurate. For this one, you do have to check this box, and then you can hit OK over here. So we will go through our about widget first. We have this legend here, everything in red is filled, everything in yellow is sold, everything green is available, and then gray is unavailable. We might be saving that plot or not have information on it. So if we go over to one of these filled plots, you can see the status changes to filled. You'll see when I actually click on a different one. Basically, all this information always stays the same. Cemetery grave ID status will always be on there, and Google Maps directions. And all the filled plots, it'll actually give you information of who's buried there, their age, birthday, death date, burial date, and whether or not if they were a veteran. If we go over to a sold plot, it'll just tell you who currently owns that plot and all the same information there. On one of our available plots, it'll tell you the burial rights price. It's not the total cost you're going to incur. There's a little bit higher than that, but that's just the rights. And then there's an addition of this request reservation information link, and this will open up Survey 123, and that plot will also automatically be generated in this survey, and you can fill out the rest of the information, and that will be sent to the clerk's office. And they will reach out to you, give you more information on how to reserve that plot.
Scott, I apologize for interrupting you, but
Yeah.
if somebody from Oklahoma wanted to purchase that plot, are they able to fill out that form? Or
They would be, they'd have to put their address there, and obviously, the clerk's office would see that they are not a
Okay.
resident of Oshtemo
But it's not
Township.
limited to just residents in the township?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
actually
by
purchasing a
ordinance,
grave,
right.
it would be,
It's our
yes.
ordinance that limits it, but anyone can request to purchase a plot, but as our ordinance is written, that is at the discretion of the clerk's office, and typically, we only sell plots to people who don't live in the township if maybe, a good reason. And that would be they previously lived here, or they have other family in the cemetery. Like, there are any number of reasons why we might still sell them a plot.
Sure,
But this
sure.
allows them to still make the request and make that initial contact so that we can call them back. or-
Yeah, that's good. I just wanted to know if there was any limiting factors on that form, as far as how, if it made it all the way through.
We do have a question, are you a resident of Oshtemo Township?
Oh.
And that's just a quick way for the clerk's office to verify whether or not. Moving on, we do also have a search functionality similar to the last web map. You can search by owner name, occupant, grave ID, and then we just have that same information for the green burials. So I will search up someone's loved one. Just like that. You can see a relative of Sherry's.
Nope, actually, you need to use my maiden name,
Oh,
Maxam. There's a bunch of them in there.
am I?
Sprinkled around, we call it.
Yep, that's my uncle, that's my grandfather, that's my great-grandmother, that's my grandmother.
David, all right. And there it is. Saw that. I do want to also show that you can have multiple occupants in a plot. Interestingly.
It's allowed.
You just stack them up.
Maybe if I can just find one real quick. Up to 3. There we go.
Cremains, let's be clear about that. 3
Oh, okay.
cremains.
3 cremains,
One
2
and a half.
bodies.
Yeah.
Mostly there's just 2, very little, 3. But that's how that would look. There would be a second occupant list here along with 2 next to all the information to differentiate that. All right, I believe I touched on everything there. We'll close that. Go back to oshtemo.org, to our homepage. And the last one is the voting precincts and polling location finder, which you can just go to the elections little tile here, and then go down to this where do I vote button, and it'll open up that. So another splash screen, you do have to check this box to get in there, and then all you just have to hit OK. And then this is really just doing an address search and also the general location search as a catch-all. So if you were to live at 2378 Quail Run Drive,
I do live there.
you would be voting at Precinct 4, which is, the polling location is Voyage Church, and there's also a Google Maps link to help you get to that location. And that is basically it with that one. That is really the only functionality. You can also just click on the precinct to pull up that polling location and link to it.
So while we still do direct folks to utilize the michigan.gov/vote, that map is really useful though for a number of reasons. When you're looking at voting information from different perspectives. I mean, and in that case, you know, you can click on specific properties and find out which precinct they're in, and that can be helpful for different things, campaigning, mostly election related. Hopefully. Not sure where I was going with that, Scott, but right back to you.
Well, that's all I have. Thank you for having me. If you do have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now.
Thank you, Scott. I want to just give board members an opportunity to respond or ask questions. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? The amount of information that's out there.
It's mind-blowing. I think we should call him the fabulous Scott Fitzgerald.
I,
That way we can call him F. Scott Fitzgerald.
right, right.
He's literally been waiting since second 2 of your presentation for that.
No, Scott, I have the most important question. Who in the office has the most correct answers to your geography questions?
I think that's you, Sherry. Yeah.
I love playing that game.
We need to get more candy.
We do, we need to refill, don't we? So not only has, Scott brought a level of professionalism to utilizing GIS technology to the office. He has been a willing participant as a member of the team to share this information. He's created multiple tutorials for staff internally to teach our staff how to use it. When I took GIS 101, I did nothing all day but play with GIS and figure out how to use it. So it's really impressive, and your work is appreciated, and it definitely it supports many other departments besides Public Works, for sure. So thank you.
Yeah, I find it to be really fascinating. I visit either the counties or, cities, Portage and Kalamazoo regularly, looking for things. I understand how complicated it is. I had a long conversation with the city employees, the right-of-way coordinator, who we were looking on a map trying to find out where a boundary was and where the setbacks were and everything. And it's a lot of information that goes into that, and I really applaud you with all the information on this. Sometimes it's a little confusing to make sure you're having the right button and everything, that you're selecting the right overlays. But this is awesome, just taking a look at it here, knowing that it's ours. It's way better than everybody else's. Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, you've made the most of your 9 months and 13 days, I would say.
Yes,
Your sentence is almost up.
I have a little calendar in my office, yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Scott.
Thanks.
Great work. This is all a part of, and I have plans to do more. I think we'll talk about it a little bit more later in the meeting, but one of our core values is that township staff are available to the public, and highlighting our staff and showing off their talents in front of the board, not only so that you can hear about the work that they're doing directly, but also they have an opportunity to engage in the public as well. So, good stuff. Next, I'd like to move to agenda item number 9. I'd like to invite Vanessa, our Parks Director, to the podium to speak on this. And for board members, this is page 45 in your packet, just so that help you get there quickly. But if you could share a little bit about how the bylaws, how and why you got to this place.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. The Friends of the Parks Board has had a lot of interest for additional members. We always have some people who would like to join, and we already have a very active Friends of the Parks Board, so we did not want to, not allow someone to participate, to bring in others, so we decided to expand the number of members that the Friends of the Parks Board could have. So in the bylaws, 3.02, we edited to have, originally it was no more than 7 members, and we went up to 11 members. And then that sparked conversation about a couple other things. We figured while we're going through this process of amending the bylaws, we should comb through all of it and just take a look. So there was a couple other small changes. Our annual meeting should be held every year. It previously said on the second Tuesday in October, and sometimes our meetings bounce around, so we went to just the meeting in October so that we don't have to have it specifically on the second Tuesday. And then just a couple more items about compensating members of the committee. We don't do that, so we removed that item. And then lastly, all checks in excess of $500 need 2 signatures from the board. We changed that to all checks in excess of $2,000 require 2 signatures. Mostly those are related to our music in the park concerts, so band fees as well as printing publications for flyers. Those are really the only things that we're ever writing the checks for. So just streamlines our process a little bit because it's hard to find a band for under that amount, and this just gives us a little bit more ability to move things off a little bit smoother. So we are just requesting that these bylaws be adopted so that we can continue the work that we're doing.
Thanks, Vanessa. Does anyone on the board have any comments or questions they'd like to add to this?
Yeah, as a member of the board, I also just echo with what the plan, what Vanessa has said, and comment that we had a good discussion about it and went back and forth, submitted to the attorney to make sure everything was, done properly and everything. And it's just kind of bringing things up to current practices and reflecting what we're actually doing and what we would like to do. So we appreciate everybody's support of the revision or the amending of this, of the bylaws.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, Vanessa. Thanks for walking the Friends of the Park Board through that process. They probably hadn't really been dove into since they were originally adopted. So I think it's appropriate.
Thank you.
And I think it was a clarifying activity for the members of that board, too. Anyone else?
This is pretty straightforward, but Neil, I will let you make the motion.
I move
Well,
that we.
hold on.
Oh,
Can I ask for public comment
sure.
first?
My bad.
Whatever you like.
Thank you, Vanessa. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to make a comment regarding item number 8, amendments to the Friends of the Park bylaws? Seeing none, I will close public comment and turn it over to the board.
Are you ready?
Mhm.
Still on? Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve the Oshtemo Township Friends of the Parks amended bylaws.
Second.
A motion by trustee Sakura, a second by trustee Cole. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 with 2 absents. Thank you, Vanessa, and thanks, Neil and the board, for getting that work done. Next, we have item number 10, a resolution declaring intent to pave South Second Street. Anna, can you speak to this for us?
Sure. Originally, the residents of South Second Street, which is between, if there's a map included in the packet, between KL and L. It's the last through gravel road that the township has. They started this conversation in 2020 with the road commission in the township about paving their road. Since then, the township has started the road millage, and so we now have an opportunity to create a special assessment district through our own means and our own legislation that governs the township. So we have worked through that process with them. I believe there's 17 residents in total, and there was a petition signed with 60% of the total frontage. So I do want to clarify that that looked at the length of the road, but the frontage on both sides, if you will. And then that was 60%. They did talk through as a group whether they wanted to go through the road commission's process, which would have given them the opportunity to assess each of the parcels equally, or through the township, which was by frontage. So I've talked through that with them a lot. And then also the road commission did recently update their estimate, and this was included within our PAR contract that we approved a few months ago. And just so everybody's, again, familiar with those, the top gray background items are work that they do as part of their routine maintenance, the road commission, and then the rest of the work is part of the project with the township. And I'm happy to answer any questions on that. And then if it's more legal in nature, I'll let Jim do that.
Yeah, I don't know whether you want to ask for public comment. There are a series of motions in here, and they all depend upon what was available, and sometimes not everything's available. But we have a series of motions if we want to walk through them, but you may want to take public comment before you move those motions.
Certainly. Before we move that direction, I guess, does any member of the board have a question for Anna? No? At this time, I will open up discussion for public comment. Is there anyone present wishing to make comment to this board regarding this item? Yeah, please.
Well, just as a price change, that's all.
Would you mind coming to the podium and asking your question to the board? And then we don't engage in direct back and forth dialogue with the public at this time, but we will take note of your questions.
Just curious if what's happened with, because, gas prices have shot up, asphalt usually shoots up. What's the pricing going to be so that we can let the rest of the residences know? Has that changed, or is it staying the same as what we were told last fall, or do we have any ideas?
Well, I think Anna can
answer
address the overall cost. This hearing would just move the project forward. It wouldn't necessarily set the assessments at this point.
Okay.
But I think Anna can tell you where the cost projections are at.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we did have the road commission update the estimate as of the end of January. So I think the point of contact I've had with the neighbors has been provided the most recent estimate, and that cost has not changed.
Okay.
And as we go through this process, as Jim mentioned, and set the assessment roll, it will be the actual, at the end of the project, the materials put down are all unit price. So once we get a total at the end of the project, that will be the final cost, if you will. We do our best to estimate. It is, we do add some contingency in there just to make sure that we usually start as high as we can and then make sure it comes down. So I'm confident with the estimate that was included in the packet.
Appreciate it. Thank you. No other
Sure.
questions?
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else wishing to make comment on this project, this item? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment.
And this is set up in a series of motions. The first would be to make a motion that the petitions be received and indicating that they are in fact accepted. You over your 51%. So that would be the first motion.
So these are going to be, as listed in the packet here, you're going to read the first motion, then we'll all vote on it, then we'll move to the second one, but.
Yeah, I know it's a little repetitive, but
I didn't.
the form's sort of structured in this way depending on what comes forward,
Okay.
what doesn't necessarily come forward at these
Okay.
hearings, but.
Well, unless, does anyone have any question?
Yeah, is there any
Yeah.
further board discussion on this
Otherwise,
item?
I'll be happy to make the first
All right.
motion. So the first motion, if I'm reading this correctly, that petitions be received by the township board and the report pertaining thereto be filed as part of the minutes of the meeting? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. I make that motion.
Farmer, second.
Motion by trustee Sikora, second by clerk Farmer. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion? This is a,
This is just a motion.
Just a motion.
okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 with 2 absent.
The next motion would be to direct the township engineer to proceed with plans for improvement, location thereof, and estimate of the cost.
I want to say so moved, but I will make the second motion to direct the township engineer to proceed with the plans for the improvement, the location thereof, and an estimate of the costs of the same.
Support.
Motion by trustee Cole, support by trustee Sikora. This is a regular motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent.
Because your engineer is efficient, she has presented you tonight with the map of the district. She's also presented you with the cost estimates and the proposed plans. Therefore, the next motion would be to make sure that you accept those plans and estimates be filed with the township clerk for public examination.
Michael?
You're up.
Yeah, okay, here we go. I make a motion, oh, I lost my spot. Oh, man, here.
To order that the plans.
Okay, I make a motion to order that the plans,
Estimates. Right here.
Estimates.
plans and estimates be filed with the township clerk for public examination.
Second.
Motion by trustee Chapman, a second by trustee Cole. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, 2 absent.
The last motion would be to adopt the resolution, which would be a roll call vote. And basically, that resolution states that you intend to pave Second Street and that the township does designate the special assessment district to be Second Street between KL and, is it L?
Yes.
And that there will be a hearing on that set for May 14th, 2024, commencing at 5:30 PM or as soon as can be heard thereafter. We will give proper notice to all property holders, and we will publish the necessary notices in the newspaper. That will be the hearing to establish the district.
I will make the final motion to adopt the resolution declaring the intent to pave South Second Street as recorded and also as stated by Attorney Porter.
Support.
I have a motion by trustee Cole. I believe I heard trustee Chapman first. Any discussion on the motion? It's a roll call vote. Thank you, Clerk Farmer.
Trustee Sikora?
Yes.
Trustee Ford is absent. Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Cole?
Yes.
Treasurer Bushka is absent. I vote yes. Supervisor Bell?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted 5-0 with Ford and Bushka absent.
Thank you. All right. Pretty exciting stuff. Getting Second Street paved. At this time, we will move to agenda item number 11, which is closed session to discuss written opinion of council.
And I have a resolution to that effect indicating that you wish to consult with your attorney to discuss written opinion of counsel, and doing so in an open meeting would have a detrimental effect upon the township's position, could disclose matters protected by the attorney-client privilege.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution to enter closed session to discuss written opinion of counsel.
Second, support.
Motion by Clerk Farmer, support by Trustee Sikora. This is a roll call vote.
Trustee Sikora?
Yes.
Trustee Ford is absent. Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Cole?
Yes.
Treasurer Bushka is absent. I vote yes. Supervisor Bell?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted 5-0 with Ford and Bushka absent. We are in closed session.
I would request
I move that we exit closed session.
Motion and support to return from closed session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I move that we proceed as discussed in closed session.
Support.
Motion by Clerk Farmer, support by Trustee Chapman, I believe.
Sure.
Either.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. To proceed as discussed in closed session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 with 2 absent. So that gets us to item number 12. Clerk Farmer?
Yeah, so this is actually a fairly simple situation. Our notices for our ordinances and proceedings have become very expensive. And we knew that about 8 years ago. We changed from publishing our entire general ordinance to just doing a summary to reduce costs. And now our zoning ordinances, now that we have adopted some very lengthy ordinances, it has resulted in us completely blowing through our publication budget for the year. And Sierra Lucas, Jim's assistant, has done some legwork for us in determining how we can, well, one, how costs got to be as high as they are, and come to find out, without our knowledge, MLive had actually been pushing us toward the highest tier of publication costs. And, which means, where it's placed in the paper and, that our logo is used and all that. And our most recent ordinances that we passed, like the mixed-use district, for example, resulted in over $8,000 worth of publication costs.
Yeah, and council was following past policy, if you will, not written, but past policy of the board, which was to provide a written summary both for notices for planning commission, both for general ordinances when they're adopted, which you don't have to do. The only ordinance that requires a summary is the adoption of a zoning ordinance. So we can dispense with some of the summaries. We could save a tremendous amount of money.
Now, in addition to these publications in the newspaper, we do follow, first of all, we follow the law.
Yep.
But we also then post them here at the Township Hall on our digital bulletin board and in their entirety, and they are published in their entirety on our website.
Absolutely.
And of course, that would continue. My request to the board tonight is that we can bring back a more robust written policy at a later time, but to move forward now, to remove or to reduce costs immediately, my request is that we publish a notice of posting in the Kalamazoo Gazette with a summary of ordinances when required, utilizing the most cost-effective means possible, along with posting in the office and on our website. I'm not requesting, of course, that we deviate in any way from the law, but I'm asking that we do it in the most cost-effective way possible. When I say we blew our publication budget, it's April, and we have spent $27,000 on publications.
Yeah, we're going to have to bring a budget amendment back. It's all,
And for second quarter.
for second quarter.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions about this.
I also think that, we could, Kyle Meeting Communications has been, really, we could be using our social media tools as a supplement aside to, there's, in addition to this.
Yeah.
For our, but I am not requesting that right now. Right now, anything in addition, we could certainly entertain. I would be happy to do that. I think it would require more discussion because we'd have to make sure that it's consistent, right? And that we have a plan for that. But for just now, what I'm asking is that we publish all notices, ordinances, and proceedings of the township by publishing a notice of posting in the Kalamazoo Gazette with a summary of ordinances when required, utilizing the most cost-effective means possible. I'm just asking us to dial it back to that now to save money, and then we can build a separate plan if we'd like to. But right now, I would like us to move that way so that, we've got more ordinances coming this year and the costs are just going to continue. This is going to drop our costs down from, this last one was $8,000. It could have actually cost us $260. That's the difference I'm talking about.
It's huge.
Yeah. You know, like it's huge, and so that's why I kind of was pushing this today. Ideally, I would like us to write, Sherry and Claire and I to get together and write a better policy surrounding this, but Jim has assured me that this is the best stopgap measure now, so that we're not, spending so much money unnecessarily. I have a motion if you'd be willing to entertain it.
I guess, is there any discussion on this from other board members? Okay, yeah, if you have a motion, Clerk Farmer.
I move to, it's literally what I just told you guys. I move to publish all notices, ordinances, and proceedings of the township by publishing a notice of posting in the Kalamazoo Gazette with a summary of ordinances when required, utilizing the most cost-effective means possible, along with posting in the office of the township clerk and posting on the township's website.
Support.
I have a motion by Clerk Farmer and support by Trustee Sikora. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0, 2 absent. Do we have anyone in the public wishing to make comment? No? Okay. We'll close public comment and then move to board member and committee updates. Trustee Sikora.
I'd like to defer to trustee Chapman.
Excellent. Parks and Rec had a meeting, and we had a lively discussion, and some of the conversation will be coming back to this board eventually. I think it is something that is important, but I will defer any further conversation until the Parks and Rec has the closing conversation regarding this topic. But I think it is something that will be quite relevant and important to discuss. I have nothing further.
I agree, and I'm glad that the committee is going to take it back up for another discussion. I was glad to see that, so thank you all. All right, Trustee Cole.
Nothing.
Can I butt in? I just want to thank the board for being able to go to the seminar in Traverse City. It was the Lawyers Institute that MTA puts on. It was really great. Again, sort of like drinking from a fire hose, but a lot of good information that I brought back, and it was just a one-day event, but it was very good. Thank you.
Trustee Sikora?
Well, I wanted to defer to trustee Chapman because I wanted to follow up on something that I thought he was going to say about the topic.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, the topic was having overnight
Camping.
right. And the only reason I was going to follow up on that is because I was at the Drake Farmstead today for a meeting, and there was a person in a sleeping bag sleeping in the pavilion. So it's like it was kind of timely that this whole discussion, Supreme Court, was about all this things going on. So that was kind of why I figured you might mention that. But anyway, I'll move on. Friends of the Parks met last week. We thank you, everyone, for the approving the bylaws updates that we just had earlier in the meeting. Music in the Park series at Flesher Field. We're finishing up the publicity and sponsorship materials. We're also planning to buy a new banner to reflect the changes to the sponsors rather than just putting patches on the other banner to reflect some of those changes. Earlier today, I did go to a meeting, event planning meeting with the OHS, the Historical Society, and we're continuing to arrange all that. Friends of the Parks is going to provide cookies and water as refreshments in the carriage barn and have it staged with rental information and forms, and board members will be on site to answer questions, et cetera, and help out in general for this event on Sunday, May 19th from 12 to 4. We're continuing to work with the Kalamazoo Public Library on installing a story walk Friends of the park will be contributing funds and labor to this fun project. We'll install the concrete bases in-house to save a lot of money, maybe to pay for publications, I don't know, but we'll hope save some money. Supplies will be purchased after we get the specifications from the library, and we'll have a nice opening ceremony for that. We've had several volunteer sessions at the Drake Farmstead, and they're having a real impact. If you drive down the entrance, stop by there, you'll see piles of brush on the side that have all been cut down. Some trees have been removed, areas cleared out to improve sight lines, so you'll be able to see a big difference there. One of our board members, Dave Welch, has been doing a great job leading those efforts. Paul Sutherland, who was here earlier, has also been very active with that whole thing. All those efforts, I should not, that whole thing. Anyway, just a reminder that KL Avenue is closing at 1:31 on Monday morning. And the information is kind of confusing because the MLive article said it's a total closure. MDOT's MI Drive site says it's only westbound KL closing. And then there's a, I believe, changeable copy sign, according to our sign ordinance, one of those, okay. I tried to find the right term for it in our sign ordinance. That says KL Avenue closing, but it doesn't say just westbound. And it's, I don't know, just avoid the area, I guess, for a while. But starting Monday morning, just that's the reminder.
It's also closed for,
A
I
long-
mean,
a long time.
we are working on that internally to send out some public communication through our channels as well, but thank you for notifying that. I think we need to, before we do anything, we need to double check.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, you know, MDOT wasn't willing to give us the slides in a timely manner from their presentation. It was nice to have it, but it would have been nice to be able to like put a slide deck on the, you know, township website, or at least so we all have the story, the same thing. Another item, a resident asked me last week about the dump day change, and I was wondering if if you can give us any kind of update on how that's going. The bulk trash service, are people using it? Are they coming in, getting vouchers? Any problems?
I used it today. I just
Awesome.
I forgot about
Good,
that.
there
I
you
meant
go.
to tell you. I'm sure
Yeah.
my neighbors are thrilled that I got rid of the partial sofa that has been in my driveway for about
Oh.
3 weeks. In
Wow.
fact, I had girls' night in, and they all came over Friday, and
Yeah.
one of them hadn't been there before and said, "What's the address?" And I said, "Look for the couch in the driveway." And now my gazebo joined it about a week ago with the heavy winds, killed my gazebo, so that joined it. And she said, "Oh, okay, you live in that kind of area." I'm like, yeah, that's, thinking I'm gonna put a little toilet out and maybe turn it into
Planter? Yeah.
a flower pot.
Yeah, flower, yeah.
But no, I did, I used it today, and it went very smoothly, so
Super.
it was very convenient.
Good. Yeah, I noticed that, I went and looked online, and I saw that you can sign up for future months, and, you know, you still have to come in again, but that's great to be able to do that rather than, you know, not come in each month, but that you can sign up ahead of time.
Yeah, and I'll
then
also
come in.
note,
Yeah, go ahead.
too, just so you know,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you,
no, no,
but
go for
just
it.
to note today, when I went there, the stuff was very heavy, and I wasn't sure that somebody would be able to help me, so I had Jay, my boyfriend, do everything, but we actually drove there together first. I presented the voucher, and I said, "Is it a problem if he comes back without me?" And they said, "Nope, as long as it's today, I'll recognize him." So that worked out, so.
Super. Good. Yeah, I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to share. I was just looking for
The
any info.
feedback I've received has been, you know, positive. We definitely still need to make some tweaks to the program, so I do believe people are coming in and getting their vouchers for sure. I don't have a number for you, I'm sorry. I'll have that for the next board meeting. We need to, one amendment is that we have people that own property in the township, but maybe they're, you know, they're paying taxes on a property, but maybe they live at a different residence. So we've got to, I mean, I use the example, like my dad owns 3 properties and pays taxes on 3 properties, but his address is the same as mine. And so under our current circumstance, he's not eligible because I got the vouchers for my address. So we're working that out. And then also, and Dusty and I are going to have a conversation, but it appears that Mulder's is willing to accept yard waste as well. It's a part of your 4 yards, so that part's good, but now we need to make sure, because if we're paying less for it with our current yard waste service, then maybe that doesn't make sense. So, but they will, right now, they're accepting yard waste, so bushes, leaves, grass clippings, so you don't have to wait for the 2 leaf days for the township. So, that's, right now, those are the major tweaks that we have to sort of iron out, but people seem happy with it.
Yeah, and that's good to hear, because I know when the last dump day, we gave out a bunch, so there weren't people coming in to get them, and maybe some of the people were in
I
line, they
think the
took it,
word
and
is-
they're
I
not gonna
think-
use it, but some people probably got it, and maybe hadn't
You know,
thought
we'll
about
keep-
using it, but now have it. They've
We'll
got
keep
it.
advertising
Yeah,
it,
so
you
it's
know,
kinda
I
good to
don't
get some
expect
feedback.
that, like, we'll put it in the summer newsletter again, I was expecting to put something out at least monthly on our social media channels to remind people, but, I had a conversation with a former township elected official today, and she had some questions about it, but she's like, sounds like you guys are making good decisions, and I was like, well, thank you, coming from you, that's a really good thing, so, anyway.
Yeah, it was good to have I saw the visuals of, well, how much is 4 cubic yards?
Mm-hmm.
Because we were having trouble describing that to people when they were coming
Mm-hmm.
in line for the last dump day. It's like, well, is this big, is that big, and so the information on there was
Mm-hmm.
very, very helpful, and the drawings or whatever helped people visualize. It
That was
very
Kyle.
well done. I was glad to hear that.
We need to know what this looks like.
Yeah.
Do you have any other updates?
That's all I got. No, thanks. I'm done. Thanks.
Clerk Farmer?
Yeah, so today was the filing deadline for candidates who wish to appear on the August ballot as a township official. We have some healthy competition out here. We, not necessarily for the primary itself, but we've had a Republican and a Democrat file for clerk, for supervisor, for treasurer, and we have had 5 Democrats file for trustee and 2 Republicans file for trustee. So best of luck to everyone. And again, that election is August 6th and then November 5th for the general. And that will be a very busy season for the township and for my office in particular. That's it. That's all I have for right now.
Thanks, Clerk Farmer. From the supervisor's office, I just want to remind you that this Saturday, April 27th, from 10 to noon is our first shred day in the township. That is also our first pop-up for our comprehensive master plan. So our consultants, Progressive A&E, will be here on shred day, and we will be set up here at the township and also the library to take public input on our comprehensive master plan. So please do stop by and show your support and participate. The other thing I wanted to share with you, hold on, is, so something new that I'm going to do, I think monthly, thank you, clerk. Thank you. Is, again, we highlighted Scott tonight in his talent. I think it really shows. I really want it, it's my intention to bring forward our other staff at different times to acknowledge the work that they do and share with you in a little bit more detail what it is that they do, and so that they are, that we recognize and acknowledge the work that they provide for the township. Additionally, monthly, not every board meeting, but monthly, I've invited the department heads to share just a little update to me that's highlighting things that are going on in their department, because I don't always remember off of the top of my head, and there's really a lot of stuff going on. For example, our assessor, Jody, our planning director, reminded me about the pop-up for Shred Day. And then our assessor, Christine Biddle, shared today that she wanted the board to know that all the details, and she thanked Attorney Porter for getting the Board of Review wrapped up. Additionally, she wanted to share that she has got much paperwork digitized out of her office. And so last Friday, I had to give her go to her office and give her a clap because you could see her floor. It was like so amazing. So these are just ways that I hope, you all feel informed about what's going on and also recognize the hard work going on at the township and recognize that work. So with that, I have nothing further, and I will adjourn. Forgot the word. I was going to call this meeting to order, and I'm like, I know that's not right. I adjourn this meeting. All right, have a good night, everybody.